Hi, everyone. I am Raymond Sharp. This is my lovely wife,
Tanisha Sharp.
and we're here to jump in.
in.
Before we get started, we want to encourage you all to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes,
We
for
definitely
more.
appreciate you all, your support over the years. We are endeavoring to do more to help more people and to reach more people so that the likes and the sharing and the
It's all.
subscribing will go a long way in doing so. But today,
Yeah.
we want to talk about why.
Why?
Why? A lot of times, we encounter things in life, and one of the things that we may ask ourselves is, why am I going through this? Or why did they do that? And what was their motivation? And why are they thinking like that? So again, getting back to the why
the
of things,
whys.
all the whys. And we don't need to get stuck in why. But we need to master understanding the why.
Why?
And we're not trying to be coy or, with our wording of this, but it's so important that we understand people's motivations because we can understand that they really didn't mean us any harm. They have
If we
something going
understand the
on
why.
if we
Ooh, that's
understand
good.
the why. So sometimes, I remember a time that uh, going through life, I felt like I didn't do anything to make someone act or behave a certain way towards me. And it just, I was like, well, this must be having a bad day. But then, and seeking further information, I found out they may be going through something, especially in a work environment, they may have something carried over from home that is bothering them, and they're a little sour when they get to work because of what they went through at home. It has nothing to do with you, and we have to be so very careful not to get offended and be so defensive against what we perceive as a slight when people have so many other things going on beyond us, and we can't be so self-centered that we think that every issue that someone has is because of us. So we are not always a person's why they act, move, and behave a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, and the understanding the why, that's the key. And I think sometimes we don't take the time to try to really understand. We just like, oh, she got an attitude, or he's off today, or whatever. But like asking those questions, like, is everything okay? Or, getting to the why, really taking the time to be concerned about, what's probably concerning them. And then maybe give them an encouraging word or, be encouragement to them in some kind of way. But yeah, I think understanding the why will help you not get offended when you feel like they're purposely trying to, you may think that they're purposely trying to do something to you or offend you, but it's like, no, they literally are having a bad day. They may not feel good. They may have a headache. And so their face is all, some kind of way. May look mean, but their head is pounding. But they still have to come to work or they still have to, go out and do whatever they need to do. And because you don't understand, you don't know the why. And you may not always understand and know the why when it comes to other people, but even understanding your why. Why am I so easily offended? Why am I so guarded? Why am I so not trustworthy, trusting or trustworthy? Why, and so when you begin to look at yourself and not really focusing on the other people's what they got going on, I mean, you can kind of work through some of your own issues and just, um, yeah, because you got to know why. And then even when you know why, you can be able to explain it to whoever you're with. So, like say for insecurity, when you understand why you're so insecure, when you actually go back and see where it came from and you're working through that, and if it comes up and it's affecting your relationship, you can say, hey, I'm realizing that this is a form of insecurity that I am still working through from childhood or whatever. So I just want you to understand why I am responding this way or why and that's a level of maturity to really even admit that it's you and not them. Because sometimes we just project it like, oh, it's you. You're being insensitive. You're being, was it when men are sometimes direct?
Toxic.
Yeah.
You're too you being too forward.
Yeah. And I'm constantly getting offended, but really, I just have an issue that I need to work through. And so when I'm coming to you and I'm explaining that to you, then you can understand the why. So understanding the why helps out with everything, especially knowing how to handle a person and knowing how to deal with the person and not taking it personal when they act a certain way because you understand that they're going through some stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I think to that point, it teaches you how to handle people when you understand their why.
Yeah.
When you take the time to get to know them, take time to understand their motivations, and especially like when you in our committed relationship, especially if you're married, we when we're melding our lives together, there's a lot of things that even though my wife and I we talk a lot, we
A
talk
lot.
every day
A
for
lot
hours.
for hours.
There's still things that it's not that I try to omit anything. It was just that, oh, did I ever tell you da 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 da? She's like, no. And then we talk about it. She's like, man, that
Oh, that
makes.
makes sense.
Now she
Yeah.
said she also, oh, that makes so much sense now. I'm
To
like,
me, I mean, I
yeah,
need sometimes I need things to make sense, so I don't take it personal.
that's right.
Because when you're learning someone, you don't understand why this person, you know, like you can literally take everything personal, and then if you never communicate anything, because some people just are in relationship and they never talk about anything. Things are just happening. People just getting offended, and you just getting hurt over and over and over again, never understanding that this person is not intentionally trying to hurt you. This is not, it's just this is how this person either copes with the situation. This is how this person, handles themselves when it comes to this. And it's just easier to handle. It's easier not to get offended because when you get offended and your heart gets hard, you get to swell up, it gets cold. I mean, anybody can tell when we're out in public and if something's going on. I mean, even at home, if something's going on and I'm offended, everybody probably gonna know because I can't hide it. I mean, I'm not a fake person in that sense. I don't know how to like pretend like I'm good when I'm really not when it comes to us. I'm just not, and maybe that's something I need to work. I don't know. But that's why I'm always too quick to forgive for real, because it's like I know that, when we first early on, I was shut down. And I had to quickly realize that doesn't work with this one.
Don't shut down on me.
And I had to mature in that area because I was good. I can shut down for weeks. Like I can go without talking to you. I can shut you down. You can come show up, knock on my door. I can answer it. Early on. And so I realized that was not good. I realized that was the way I cope with things, but that doesn't resolve anything. That's avoiding it. That's dragging it out. And it's selfish because it's like I want him to suffer. And so I had to mature through that.
Oh, that was your why, huh?
That was my why. And so, and I caught on early enough to where it didn't really mess up anything, but I had to realize like this is not fair. Like he's a good guy. Like this is not fair. I don't need to do that. I don't need to play these games. I need to mature in that. So that was something that I quickly had to change about myself. But I realized that it was just something a way for me to cope and to protect myself from, and make him feel, dragged through this whole long, not hearing from me, not knowing what I'm thinking, not knowing what I'm doing, my whereabouts, not hearing my voice. Like I'm allowing you to suffer for that. And that's not fair. And so that was one thing I had to stop doing. So, even in that, that was
I want to share this one story. I remember when we was I like going to the mall and not necessarily the shop.
mhm.
And my why, I had explained to my
Oh
wife,
yeah.
was so I've
In the past.
yeah, in the past, I've had stressful jobs, and I have jobs where people are like they pull on me for information. They constantly are coming to me, and I have to constantly pour out. And I realized that it drained me sometimes. So I would like, man, I want to put myself in a position where people can ask me if I need anything, if I'm doing well. So I used to do, if I had a really rough day, in the middle of the day for my lunch, I used to go to the mall, and I used to go to stores that notoriously had great customer service. I targeted certain stores because I knew that they were, hey, sir, how are you doing today? They're going to carry a conversation. They're going to ask me how my day is. Do I need anything? Because I'm just like, man. So going through that made me feel better. But at the time it was happening, my wife and I were budgeting. We were working on things. And like, oh, I'm going to the mall. And she was like, why are you going to the mall? We're trying to, I'm like, just trust me. I'm not going to spend no money. I'm just going to the mall. But then I had to take a step back and say, hey, look, this is why I'm going to the mall. She was like, oh.
Yeah, because to me, if you go to the mall, you spending money. Like
Yeah.
I didn't go to the mall for that. So I can understand why am I, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, and not even taking shade to it because I could have been like, well, why can't you come home and get that?
Mhm.
Um, some people might get offended and say, "Well, I don't tell you what you need and all that stuff at home." But understanding his need in that season.
Yeah, and it was just I just go, I walk, I hit my 3 or 4 stores with a customer service is spectacular. I grabbed my food and I went back to the office. So just again, I think sometimes one of the deficiencies is we don't do a good enough job
Yeah,
of explaining what we really have going on, how things affect us, and it even challenges us even to do that is to mature. And I think
yeah,
that's where the deficiency is. It is not that we are trying to be a certain way, it's just that we have to take personal accountability and mature so people can understand how, not really how to just respond to us, but how to help us as well, especially when people are close to us.
yeah, hmm
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Or even allowing them to have that space to be vulnerable and
mhm.
say what's really going on. I know that wasn't probably easy for you to share because, like, to even admit, like, this is what I want,
Well, it's not that you couldn't give, but at the time,
You
the
said it was
kids,
midday
yeah,
too.
it was the kids were young,
Mm-hmm.
and like there are certain times of the day I didn't call her because I didn't want to wake the kids up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, let me just run out here, you know, just
Yeah, that's whenever kids were
yeah,
they were little.
yeah, babies, and
Yeah.
they was pulling on
And we
mommy.
were maneuvering and going, it was just a whole lot of different things. And, you have to, you know, work through some of those challenges.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all is well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So thank you all for joining us on today. We hope that you got something out of this video. Again, we appreciate you all liking, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, we want you to what?
Jump
Jump in.
in.
Y'all take care and look out for more videos soon.